Hi, my name's Jesse. I'm with Robar Guns in Phoenix, and today we're going to look at some of the new Glock triggers that are out. We're going to look at the actual factory trigger and see how it interacts with some of the different safety mechanisms in the Glock. And then we'll look at an aftermarket trigger that fails in one or more of those areas. And then we'll look at our new Robar Glock trigger that interacts with the safeties properly and enhances the trigger pull. Now, most people don't realize there are actually 3 safeties on a Glock pistol, and they're all disengaged by pulling the trigger. The first one, of course, is the little stub on the front of the trigger here. The second one is a firing pin block that's activated by this part of the trigger bar. And the third is a drop safety, which is up here, that prevents the cruciform from falling down before the striker is released. So the trigger has to be in the fully rear position in order for all 3 of those things to disengage. Let me try to demonstrate that for you here on camera. This, of course, is our cutaway gun, but we want to make sure we follow all the safety rules. So you can see the firing pin block up here. And that is going to be pushed up by the part of the trigger bar that is in front of it. Now, this is the Glock factory trigger. So safety number 1 on the front of the trigger. Safety number 2, the firing pin block. You can see that being pushed up. And the third safety we can't really see, but it is actually falling off of the shelf, releasing the striker. So now we have an aftermarket trigger installed, and you can see the front safety is engaged, so that's fine, that's working properly. The firing pin block, though, is already being contacted by the trigger bar, and you can see it's already being pushed up. Now, I've tested this off camera, and this safety fails. You can see when we pull the trigger that it'll barely move the firing pin block out of the way, just barely, but it's already out of the way enough that safety would fail. And back here again we have the drop safety, the ledge here. This is with the trigger in the forward position. You can see it's already off of the drop ledge, and the cruciform is able to move slightly down. Let's pull that forward again so you can see that on camera. That's with the trigger in the forward position. Now we're going to pull the trigger to the rear. So you can see that it bypasses the drop safety. So now we've installed the Glock Craft trigger, which was developed in cooperation with Robar. The front trigger shoe safety is fully engaged and operational, and you can see there's a lot of engagement there. The firing pin block safety is just in the right spot. The trigger bar is just barely contacting that firing pin block safety. When I pull the trigger, you'll see exactly how high up it moves. There's a lot of engagement on that firing pin block when it comes down in front of the firing pin, or some people call it a striker. Now, the drop safety, again, is hard to see, but since we know that this safety is engaged, we also know that the trigger bar is coming far enough forward that it's also engaging the drop safety back here. So the Glock Craft trigger is really the best of the trigger world for Glocks, because all of the safeties remain engaged until you pull the trigger fully to the rear. It has eliminated some of the take-up, and of course the OEM trigger bar has been polished and smoothed and MP3'd by Robar. So that's the Glock Craft trigger. So with the Glock Craft trigger installed, we can see the cruciform here in the rear position. This little shelf is the drop safety. That's what the cruciform rides on so that it does not drop out of the way prematurely. And that is one of the safety features that a lot of times is overridden by some of the aftermarket triggers.